Welcome to the Gavel. I'm Linda Kibe. During the week, Nigeria celebrated 15 years of uninterrupted democratic rule, the longest Nigeria has gone without military intervention. Federal lawmakers reflected on the last 15 years of democracy, highlighting the gains and progress made and the areas where the country is still struggling in. Let's take a look. 15 years of uninterrupted democratic rule, the longest Nigeria has gone without military intervention. It's been 15 years of the bad, the good, and the ugly. From flawed elections, high unemployment rates, debilitating poverty, ethnic and religious crisis, and now terrorism and insurgency, alongside a rise in GDP, economic growth, and giant strides in the telecoms industry. So these lawmakers, this year's Democracy Day is a time for stock-taking and evaluation.
We had, in the course of 15 years, did some of the major highlights of our achievement includes power unbundling, telecom unbundling, infrastructure development, and one of the key highlights that will remain a landmark in the history of Nigerian legislature includes, among others, the ability of the National Assembly to kill third term, to make sure that no individual, not then, not now, not tomorrow, will be able to tamper the Constitution because of his personal whims and caprices.
In the past, if election is on June 21st, you won't see anybody. These people will be in the field running all over the place. But because they know, as Senator Bagudu has said, that there's a commitment on the part of the current government to ensure that proper things are done, that the institutions that are charged with elections are allowed to do their work. People can have faith that the electoral umpire is no longer under the control of any body, not even the federal government, not the president. The man is on his own and he's willing and has sworn to deliver from now on credible elections. I think that the issue of whether we have made a lot of strides is not in doubt. A lot of aspects of our lives have changed. And indeed, development in this country is on autopilot. But like Bagudu said, and I borrow from him again, we Nigerians are the greatest enemies of the development that will come to this country.
The working relationship between the National Assembly and the executive arm of government has not been anything to write home about. We pass resolutions upon resolutions and nobody cares. Even those who are supposed to advise the president to care will advise him by saying these are mere advisory notes or whatever. It's beyond that. We are one government. Regardless of what arm we belong, we want and need good governance in Nigeria. We want to change Nigeria for the better. Nigerians have suffered for a long time.
A child that was growing up 10 years ago will not know that road, rail, or train was in existence in this country. But today, because of democracy, people that are living by the rail between Lagos and Maiduguri, for example, can now see train. You need not travel outside this country to see that train is very effective as a means of transport. Mr. President, government has even gone further. They say business is not meant for government, and government is divesting our own shares in a lot of Rasato. Mr. President, prior to democracy, you know that landlines, for example, it's only a few people that I know that have landlines within our locality. For today, you talk of millions of Nigerians, even farmers, having cell phones with them. All these ones are because of democracy, dividends of democracy.
We're not better. We could be better, but we're making progress. No one would expect in the process of nation building that everything will be done overnight.
These are major things I think Nigeria will tackle. I have not got it right yet. Security, employment situations must improve. We should also look at the number of years it takes for election petitions to be discharged in this country.
This year's Democracy Day is coming at a time when Nigeria is facing one of the worst security crises the country has seen since the Civil War. Lawmakers say this is a time to fashion out new ways of dealing with this crisis.
I remember the last Senate, Mr. President, we raised this issue so many times and made commendations to the government that they should make sure that there is peace in the region of Northeast. Particularly at that time, there was issued crisis in Jos, and then expanded to Maiduguri, where we said that should be stopped. See now, Mr. President, the issue of security has gone beyond not only Maiduguri border, but beyond Northeast and down to north central of this country.
There is a structural problem that needs to be addressed if we are going to have a sustained approach to security in this country. I've always spoken about the issue of decentralized police. It's difficult for us as a country to run a federal system and have a unitary police system and expect to succeed. This may be a topic for another day, but I must say that in spite of all the fears about a decentralized police, it is still the best for our country. In the atmosphere of a regulated, decentralized police, we can have a better secured nation. Thank you. Your Excellency, I also believe that the issue of unemployment can also be addressed by ensuring that we make a conscious effort to provide industries, just as they do in China, even as a government, so that our people can be able to find jobs when they leave school. It is impossible for government, no matter how wide, to provide employment for everybody in the public service or in the civil service. We must therefore ensure that the private sector will thrive and people will be able to get employment in different sectors.
If you talk about the challenges confronting our nation today, you talk about the high level of corruption, indeed even in the judiciary, as the hope of the common man. Completing judgment, we do not have to be a judge or a lawyer to know when somebody is guilty, okay? But we are very much aware of some of the judgment emanating from the courts. So, Mr. President, we must look at our problem holistically. My position is we must not zero down our problem to one arm of government. I'm not saying we have arrived as a nation. Mr. President, in assessing our achievement in this dispensation, it's like you look at a glass of water. Depending on the perspective at which you are looking at it, you could either say the glass is half filled or half empty. So depending on how you look at it.
What we have enjoyed most is not just the infrastructural development, but what we have gained most in the current dispensation in the last 15 years is the freedom for us to speak freely. Today we can discuss our problems, and if we can identify and discuss the problems, half of the problem is solved. Few years back, let me say 16, 17 years ago, there was no way in which anybody here, no matter who you are, would have gotten up to criticize the government. One or two persons who did it had to run away for their dear lives. But today, all of us here can get up and criticize the government, say what our problems are. So that to me is the greatest gain of the current democratic dispensation.
For the lawmakers, all hope is not lost. They say all Nigerians must unite in the fight against terrorism and political instability.
I am intelligent.
I'm incisive.
I am passionate.
I am focused.
I am diplomatic.
I'm creative.
I am people-oriented.
I am logical.
I am detailed.
I am determined.
I am inquisitive.
I am trained.
Welcome back to the Gavel. In February this year, the Senate passed the National Health Bill. It was a long process to get the bill passed. We saw the Senate Committee on Health organize public hearings to get the views of professionals and concerned Nigerians in the health sector on the bill. There were several contentious issues in the National Health Bill that needed to be addressed along the way, and we saw this play out during and after the public hearings. Well, we had a chat with the chairman, Senate Committee on Health, Senator Ifeanyi Okowa, who laid bare the highlights of the bill and what the bill intends to achieve if passed to law. Take a look.
Actually, it's a bill that establishes a framework for regulation of health and the management of the healthcare sector. It also has sections that deal with the development of the healthcare sector, and to a very large extent is all encompassing because it's apart from bringing forth a legislation that helps us to regulate the healthcare industry the more. You also find that we have a provision for the basic healthcare development fund, which is very key in this nation because we need to develop the primary healthcare industry of this nation. And at the moment, that is essentially with the local government councils. And we know that more than 80 to 85% of Nigerians actually have their first primary access to primary health care when they fall ill, and even for issues concerning health education and preventive medicine. It is at the level of the primary health care. And because of the paucity of funds at that level, we find that we have not actually